Okay, I didn't really take a break myself, but let's get into the actual code here for the model view controller refactoring. What I'm going to do, I need to go to the model view controller canvas. Let's actually go to the model view controller.h. I want to pull out everything that is not related, everything that's not related to the model, I want to pull out. So the canvas will just be our model. We can actually put all of them into one bucket if we wanted to, but let's keep them separate. So should I do that? Maybe we can do something different, but okay. What's the best way of doing this? Let's do a slightly different way of doing this. Okay. MVC canvas model, let's call it. And I want to just see, what could I do here? I'm going to make the I'm going to make 3 different things. I don't actually have any of these particular functions, so I'm going to actually close this off in a second. So just to maybe make my life easier, I'm going to try a different approach than I did before. I also need to move all of this down below here. Okay. Class MVC MVC canvas model. So everything's going to be in the model, but I'm going to move this stuff down. This is just going to be the model. Everything's all in one place. So when I make an MVC canvas, it will have a model, a view, and a controller. Okay. Let's have a quick look at what my model actually requires. It has a bunch of private variables. That's fine. Curly brace. Okay. It has a bunch of private variables. It has a bunch of stuff in there. I have a shape intersection method. Okay. I'm going to set the size, set the shape. Okay. I'm going to make my other 2 classes, but they're not going to have anything really in them. We're just leaving those blank for now, just to let this compile properly, essentially. I'm now going to save this, and let's go to my MVC canvas. Everywhere I have the word MVC canvas, I'm going to have to change a whole bunch of stuff. Look at all the number of error messages in there. Okay, so everywhere I have MVC canvas, I'm going to put a mouse that actually works. Okay, MVC canvas model, and hopefully it should be just a matter of missed one here. All right. By the way, you can ignore this pragma warning, but I left it in there for you guys to make your life easier. Hopefully, make your life easier. Why didn't I find all of these? You really didn't find much. try this. That should, hopefully should do it. Okay, I'm just doing a find and replace. Okay, so the number of shapes is unidentified. MVC canvas model. I have no idea why it's not finding everything. Okay. All I've done is, instead of it being called MVC canvas, I call it MVC canvas model. That's it. I'm going to need to make, when I make an MVC canvas, the MVC, original MVC canvas, it's going to have a model, a view, and a controller. 3 different files, all within the one file. So the point of this is I'm going to make a brand new, I'm going to have so this should be private. This should be public. And I'm going to have MVC canvas. And it's not going to take anything at all. And then I'm going to have a destructor MVC. And there we go. That's it. Okay. So I'm going to need those in the other class as well. They're just going to go at the bottom. All the all right. This is going to do jack and squat. So I have a destructor and a constructor for all of these things. I'm not even sure I needed that, but you know, we're going to find out. Okay. Now the question that I have is, well, I'm going to be making 3 different, if I look at my code again, I'm going to be making 3 different model, a view, and a controller. I automatically make those. Let's look at what the constructor is for this. Okay, the constructor has nothing. It's a blank constructor. I can just use that. I want to set up how the model view controllers look at each other. So MVC what was my variable name actually? Oh, it's called model view and controller. Okay, very original. And view dot set model, and that's going to be model. And the view and the model, the view and the controller have to know about the model. So I know I'm going to have these particular functions in there eventually to set things up. For the meantime, I can worry about those in a second. Okay. So I have a model view and a controller. They don't really do anything. Everything should still work as far as I know. I might have to make a couple changes in this class over here. In A3 shapes. Should barf on me for A3 shapes. There you go. On mouse event and paint images. Those are the things I'm going to have to deal with. Because I'm going to have to pass those through to the model and to the view. Okay. And view dot we're going to have a lot of code broken for a little while, just because that's unfortunately the nature of how things are going to work. Okay, and I'm going to have the, what was the other thing I needed to do on mouse? And all that's going to do is call the controllers version of things. Canvas. Okay. And I want to move all this stuff. I need to put this into my header file. Semicolon. Semicolon. All right. So I have, this is just abstracting away all of this model view controller things. I could have done it a different way. I'm choosing to make one class that has the 3 parts inside of it, and all it's doing is passing messages off to these the model and the view, because it knows that they exist, but they themselves are just communicating with the view and the controller, and they themselves are just communicating with the model. I could have just kept it, and my original way of doing this, other versions you'll see of this code maybe, does it as a model view controller. There's nothing encapsulating everything. This MVC canvas thing is it's effectively just, it hides the fact that we're doing a model view controller. That's all it's doing. And then it passes things along to the right appropriate sources. Okay, I'm going to need, this is, I said it was blank for now, right? So I'm going to need, paint images is going to go in the other one. Okay, I know that I'm going to have a function called paint images. I know that this thing, oh, darn it. Oop-doo, don't worry. And I'm going to paint images on this thing. I'm also going to need to have a set model, which is what my other thing called. I wonder why this yelled at me. Okay, so MVC. I'll make this a private. It's a pointer to a model. And it's going to be private. All right. All this thing needs to know about is the model that it's going to use. I might need a couple other variables as well that I'm going to be pulling over. But the point of this whole thing is I'll put all the painting events in my view. I'll put all my mouse related events in my controller. I'll put everything else in my model. And this whole thing encapsulates a whole bunch. I'm not doing that with the other one, but I can do, if I wanted to, I could encapsulate it so I don't have to worry about like people knowing how things are broken down. Okay, on mouse events, that's what I'm going to be moving out of. So I'm going to be getting rid of this thing. I'm going to be getting rid of these two things in a second. So let's move those over. Okay. The on mouse event is going to be part of this thing here. And is there anything else? Mouse start from the model. Okay. Get the shape, get the number of shapes, clear shapes, add shapes, set size. this all relates to the model itself, what's being stored as data. The mouse start, the mouse end, and the last mouse position, I think all of those are going to be related to the model as well. Okay. So I don't think I have anything else. Oh, I need to do one more thing, which is this function that it says was not there before. Here and right here. Our set model method. Okay. Here is me making a new, or I'm setting up what the model is going to look like. Okay, so I have 3 functions in here. I have 2 functions in here. This thing does almost next to nothing, but it's almost done. This is going to yell at me, but that's fine. And it's not a model, it's a pointer to a model. Okay. So instead of just this MVC canvas, what I'm going to do is I have this set model. It's going to be an MVC canvas. Okay, so I have this. I'm just going to set up a model, and this is I think I also want a blank constructor. Yeah, I should have a blank constructor. So blank constructor. Let's do the, I'm just going to put a little comment line here so I find this again later, but that's just me. And now I'm going to also do for the, instead of the view, I'm going to do the controller. Here's my controller. I have a blank controller. I'm going to have the same set model. The only difference is instead of a model view, I'm going to say model controller. No real difference there. Okay. Still a whole lot of errors. That's fine. Next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through all of this code and figure out what functions, look at all the errors in here at least. Paint the back buffer sounds like a paint method. Let's move that. I'm going to move that. Paint the images. That's also a paint method. I'm going to move that. And that should do it. I'm going to move it all the way down to my, there's my controller. Here is my set of view functions. I'm just going to plop them down. So all I've done is copied and pasted, or cut and pasted, all of the painting methods into my view. That's it. And then I'm going to find out what happened. Okay. still a lot of errors, but these are the errors I would expect. So my view has a constructor. I can set the model. And now if when I'm painting this back buffer, or I'm painting and doing any of these painting things, and I need the shapes, I need to get it from the model. So first things first, personally, I would say if p mod, if the model is equal to null, return, because quite frankly, if I don't have a proper model pointer, I'm host. Simple as that. I'm going to put this in the other function as well. Paint images. If I don't have a proper model, I'm host. Okay. What I can do is p model get mouse start. P model get shape. P model get mouse end. Everywhere I have a function call like get the mouse start, get the mouse end, get the mouse this, get the shape, they're all from the model. So instead of asking myself, having a function call for myself, I'm saying get the shapes from the model. Okay. Notice everything works for this paint back buffer now. Nothing has changed. The only thing is when I need information about the model, I ask the model for that information. It's not in myself anymore, it's in the model. Set size, oh, I need to go to the model for that. All right. I can compile it again. That part should work. Next, I need to figure out, here's a bunch of errors on mouse event. It's still in the canvas. I'm going to pull all of that stuff down, and I'm going to put in the controller. So instead of a model, I'm going to say controller. And yeah, there you go. If p model is equal to null, something bad happened, I can't do anything about it, I'm going to get out. If I don't have a model connected to it, I'm going to get out. Everywhere I have an error that seems to be looking for the model, I can just say, hey, use the model, get the intersection. Right? That is defined in the model. At least it should be. Let's have a look. Ah, it's inaccessible. Okay. So shape intersect, I might have to move that one down too. Number of shapes, I'm going to, well, that's a direct variable that I don't have access to. So let's have a look at get num shapes. All right. This is the model itself. Getting the shapes, or any given shape. Setting the mouse start position. It's in the model. Setting the mouse end position. It's in the model. The last mouse point. It should also be in the model, but I might need to do that. Oh, it's the last mouse position might be what I keep. I've looked at this before, that's why I know what it's supposed to look like, but that's... Okay, I'm going to add a shape. I'm going to set the mouse starting position, also that. All of this is simply just me migrating stuff over and then rehooking things up again later. The code still works. All I did is refactor stuff. The last mouse position is the one thing that I have to I didn't really think about or didn't see. And the issue with that is the last mouse position, it sort of should actually be kept. And I also might need to worry about this one here, the shape intersect. So let's have a look at this one. This checks to see if, oh, I get the number of shapes. I get all the different shapes. I need to move that around. Okay. So let's look at what I have for shape intersection. Shape intersection, the problem with this thing is it's saying that it's not visible. Shape intersection, if I go to model view controller, I go all the way up here, and shape clear shapes, all this kinds of stuff. Actually, it should be up here. Shape intersection. It's private. There's a couple private functions. This can't stay private because I need it for my controller. So I'm going to just move that down. To make it public, other people can use it to figure out if things are intersecting. That's fine. And then the next thing is I have this last mouse position that seems to only be being used. Let's have a look for where this thing is. I think it's only being used in the controller. It's in the controller. Still in the controller. Yeah, it's only two. I think it's only last mouse position. Oh, I have it in the model up here when in my constructor. So what do I need? I'm just going to go and move it into my controller all together and not worry about it. My controller is going to need a constructor. We're going to have that last mouse point in our controller. So let's plop that out. Let's move it down to my controller. And where's my controller? Yes, my controller. It's a private variable. That's fine. And let's see what problems we have. Well, I don't trust this. Things are actually compiling. That doesn't seem right. Okay, cannot define. Okay. Define a compiler generated special function. Oh, do I not have the constructor for this thing? The controller does not have a constructor. Done. It now has a constructor. It still may not compile, by the way. Can define a compiler generate special function must be declared in the class first. We did that. Oh, that's the view. I didn't have that in the view either. So I have a blank constructor just to set things up initially. I don't need a destructor. There's nothing being called for new. So that's relatively safe. The one issue might be the model still gets destroyed properly. Okay. And return paint images. Okay. On mouse event must return some value. Paint images is also going to return a value. All right. Okay. That may not work still, right? It's compiled. It does not mean that it works yet. Let's have a look at what's going to go on with this. So my code actually is compiling. Let's find out. It might break. That's okay. All right. Oh, because we haven't changed any of the any of this stuff when it comes to the views and stuff and the like. So we're still getting the shapes, we're still getting the views. That's fine. Okay, that's what the kind of thing I would want to do at first. All I've done is refactored the model view controller for the shape, for the canvas class. It is literally just pulling stuff around, figuring out where things go, and thinking about, oh, and by the way, this is useful skills. Refactoring is a useful skill, even if you're uncomfortable with it. You're going to have to refactor code at some point in time, other people's code or your code. And so looking at other code that works and then just moving it around, but not necessarily trying to destroy it or rewrite it at all, just moving stuff around is actually a very, very, very common skill. So I have moved around everything involving painting to a different, so I've moved everything involving painting to the view, everything involving the control and mouse events, I moved that to the controller. And when we come back again next time, these are going really long, sorry, we're going to have a look at how we can make different kinds of views and controllers with the shape factory. So once we have the shape factory making different views and controllers, we're off to the races. Once we have that done, everything else sort of falls in place. But I wanted to do it as a separate video because I'm sure your eyes are probably crossing by now. All right, let's have a quick break and then let's come back to it in a second.